So, hi. I run a company called DueDil, and I wanted to talk to you about what I see in the future. I see, and in order to understand the future, I think you have to look at science fiction. In science fiction, there are two themes often represented. One of the apocalypse, where the robots destroy the earth and everything goes sour. And the other of this sort of boring, mundane, sort of 1960s Jetsons world, where everybody's happy and the robots take care of all the mundane aspects of all of the mechanical aspects of life. And when I look at reality, it often is somewhat in between these two visions of the future. But to really understand the future, you have to understand history. History has a sense of a way of repeating itself. You know, history is really the story of compressing knowledge. And when I look at the future, I'm often amazed by it because, you know, the brain only has 10 billion bits, right? We have a finite amount of information that we can hold. And so oftentimes, we're confronted with massive amounts of complexity in the world and incredible amount of disorder. And in turn, what we tend to do is we black box knowledge, and that becomes scary. So we black box how algorithms work, we black box how Google works, we black box how our phones work. And on one hand, this is scary because it looks like we're losing our foundation, like we're missing out on, you know, our kids aren't learning how to spell properly or aren't learning how to do long division. On the other hand, it's scary because we're confronted with an overload of information. We're confronted with messages from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and WhatsApp. And it's even more scary when things like this happen. When $200 billion of capital is wiped off of the market within a matter of 3 minutes. This is when somebody hacked into the Associated Press's Twitter account and said that Barack Obama had suffered a massive injury because of an attack on the White House. But this isn't really a new phenomenon. Even dating back to Plato. Plato was horrified. He was quite the Luddite. He was horrified about writing. He said writing would be the downfall of humanity because people wouldn't remember things. They wouldn't memorize things. They'd only recall them. They'd only understand them if they saw them. And that people would start to be impoverished as a result. So to really understand the things at play, you know, to understand, we keep on talking about these technological revolutions, but to really understand something more fundamental, we have to understand the information revolution. So what is information? Information is what creates the binary, and it's the binary in computers. It's the DNA in humans. It's what creates the Big Bang. It's how you get nothing from everything and everything from nothing. It's in the stock market. There are two things you really have to understand about information. One of them is that it's surprise. So in a classical sense of understanding information, it's that it's snowing in summer, not so much that it's snowing in winter. There's more information in the idea that it's snowing in summer than it's snowing in winter. Information has been described as to be inversely proportional to probability. That is, events with smaller probability can carry more information. In this way, information is reduced only to probabilities. But there's another thing that you need to know about information. Information, if you have too much information, you have no information at all. Another way to put this is if information is surprise. If you have complete information, you have no surprise. Or inversely, if you have total surprise, you have no surprise. Everybody with me? Sound like Rumsfeld. This is really why I'm so excited about private company information. I promise I'll explain. Public markets are boring. There's so much information because of these algorithmic trades. There's something called the bid-ask spread, not the big-ass spread, the big-ask spread. And that is what, for any of you who are not, I keep on making the mistake myself. It's the difference between what I offer my security for and what somebody wants to purchase it for. And it's come down to next to zero, which means that there's so much information out there. And on both sides, there's so much liquidity. There's so much efficiency, but there's also so little opportunity. And this is really why I'm excited about private companies. Private companies make up 99.8% actually of businesses and 50+% of GDP across any developed economy. And there's a huge amount of friction in these markets. In the current financial, in Europe alone, there's a 250 billion euro shortfall in small to medium-sized business lending. Furthermore, there's a 450 billion euro misallocation of finance to private companies each year. Namely, those companies go for loans and immediately default within a year. And these are signs that something's going to change. There's a huge amount of disorder. And with this disorder comes order. You know, it's not that long ago that public companies were acting like private ones. People don't really think about it often, but public companies only present their accounts 4 times a year, if that. You know, my view is that this data, this information in some points, which is locked up in silos. It's locked up in government agencies, in the companies themselves, online, and in data providers, is going to be organized. And it is already being organized by companies such as TradeShift, Funding Circle, AngelList, ourselves. You know, there's a general trend for this confusion, this disorder of information to be organized. And it starts with people acting like businesses, and then private businesses acting like public businesses. I run a company called DueDil, and our mission is to organize the world's private company information. But realistically, you know, my aim in life is to make private businesses more boring. Boring is not bad. Boring is good. Thank you.
So tell us about where DueDil has got in its mission. How many companies do you have in your database now?
35 million. That's only 10 million of those are available to normal web users, but 35 million in total. But I don't really think that that's the sort of the mark of what makes it good. I think you know, if data is not the most important thing. It's not the most valuable thing. A lot of people misunderstand the value in data. It's the information and insight that is achieved from that data, and to get that, you need context. So to make data into information, you need to make it searchable. You need to make it discoverable. You need to contextualize it, map it. And you need to make it accessible. And to turn it into insight, you need to allow analytical algorithms or the community to speculate on top of it.
So you're a London company that's received a large chunk of investment funding, of VC funding. What do your backers see as the great opportunity here? What's the business model?
I think to be the glue between decision makers and data providers. Our aim is to make everybody, every business, a data provider, and that's a tall order, but it's got huge possibility if you do, if we're capable of even scratching the surface of that. So I'm trying.
Doing
Certainly
pretty well.
trying.
Damian, good luck in your mission.
Thank you.
Thank you.